In today's tabletop review, we're going to be taking a look at a new offering by the Olight Flashlight Corporation. This is the M2R Warrior light. This is a rechargeable 1500 lumen light that includes a magnetic charging base and a 18650 lithium ion battery. This carries a price of $99.95. It's available directly from Olight. I will put the link to their website in my description. Definitely check out the flashlight and take a look at Olight's other offerings. They have a wide range of tactical flashlights as well as weapon lights. So moving forward, most all of the Olight products I've seen ship in a very nicely packaged presentation, I guess is what I'm looking for. The presentation of the packaging is really nice. Let's just say that. This is a really nice box. I always mention that when I'm doing reviews because how a product is presented to me is also important. If a company is going to take the care to properly package and present their product, I'm going to feel more comfortable that they've put the effort into the product as well. If I buy a product and it ships in a plastic baggie with a handwritten note on it telling me what the model number is, that doesn't really project a lot of confidence. So anyway, this box is similar to all the other Olight boxes. On the back, you've got a description which lists some of the features. It lists some of the modes for the particular flashlight. It gives you some specifications, how drop resistant it is, the candela, the water resistance. This is the IPX8, by the way. And we might get some specs on it, like it lists the weight of the flashlight, including the battery, 5.47 ounces. So if you pick one of these up off of the rack at a local store, you can get some information about it right away. So I like that a lot. So not to waste a whole lot of time on the packaging, but let's go ahead and move forward. This is the first Olight product that I've actually received that has this little plastic cover to it. Now, this little plastic cover is something that they put on here, and it more or less forces you to say, okay, stop. Let's not grab the flashlight just yet. Let's pay attention to what's on the front right here. So this is a good way of making you stop and say, okay, this is in yellow. It says, to me, this says alert. Read this first. And, we've got a decal that says charge it first before use. So you're being presented with a lot of pertinent information right off the bat, even before you get your hands on the flashlight. One of the main pieces, which is the very first one up here, is that you need to remove the tail cap, and there's a little insulator piece of plastic that will prevent the light from working. And then down here we talk about the strobe mode and the turbo mode, and how to switch to enhanced tactical mode and so on. So they put some important information right here on this cover, and you've got to come down here and lift this up and remove it to get it out of the way. So very, very nice, in my opinion. So inside the box, we've got our flashlight with the clip already installed. This compartment right here, and another thing is you've got little pull flaps, which are real nice, so you don't have to try and fight with getting something out. You can just lift up on the little pull strap. Very cool. Good attention to detail. The flashlight, this little holder for the flashlight is a foam, so the flashlight is protected. Very good. This is that little plastic protector that I mentioned. Obviously, I've already removed it because I've already played around with the light. If you remove the tail cap, this is in there. Remove that, and then the light will work. Also inside the box, we have the instruction manual. The instruction manual is available online from Olight's website in PDF format if you want a larger version that you can view on your computer. This talks about the different modes and the different run times. I'll quickly mention some information about that. This flashlight has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different modes. The 1500/700 lumen mode has a 3-minute and a 120-minute runtime. Now what that means is in the 1500 lumen mode, it's going to run for 3 minutes. The thermal circuitry will kick in after that 3 minutes once the light heats up, and it will decrease the light output to 700 lumens. And from that point forward, it has a 120-minute runtime. It's the same for the secondary turbo mode, the 1000/700 lumen mode. The high mode is 700 lumens, has a 2-hour runtime. And the medium 1 mode is 250 lumens, 6 hours, 15 minutes. Medium 2, 60 lumens, 20 hours. Low, 15 lumens, 70 hours. And Moonlight, 1 lumen, 25 days. We'll talk more about the manual here a little bit later. Just wanted to get that out of the way. This little included flyer is just an advertisement for some of the other Olight products. If you want to get more information on these other products, definitely visit their website. I will mention though that this picture, for example, right here, you can see this shows a little desktop charging base. This is optional for most of the flashlights, including the M2R Warrior. It does not ship with this little desktop charging base, but you can get this. I don't have one. I'm hoping to get one of these in the future, but I think they're like $10. So that's a very nice item to have that you can plug into your main charging base or your computer and just leave it there. And when you need to charge the flashlight, you just set the flashlight on top of the base. So that's pretty cool. So the included accessories, aside from the paperwork we saw, you've got the flashlight and you've got the belt clip, and the belt clip is installed. And we have this very nice belt sheath. It has a snap on the back. It's made out of some sort of cordura nylon material. Stitching on it is very nice. You have a drain plug in the bottom of it. Very nice little carry case for the flashlight. So I'd have to say that this is not a cheap, inexpensive carry case. This is a higher quality carry case where you have decent snaps, drainage, appropriate stitching, and so on. The clip right here has a loop of material sewn in place over it, which you have to kind of push down on to pop this free. This would obviously keep this piece from flipping, flopping around. Inside, you have the remainder of the other accessories. We have a lanyard for your wrist if you so elect to use that. Now, again, this is what I would consider a higher quality lanyard than what comes with a lot of flashlights. A lot of flashlights just have something that loops around your wrist and that's about it. This one actually is padded. So if you've ever used some of the cheap lanyards, they can dig into your wrist if you let the flashlight hang on your wrist, and they're uncomfortable. This one is soft, so it's going to be comfortable. I've tried it and I found it to be comfortable. The adjustment for this lanyard is this little push slide button. So once you get it adjusted on your wrist, you let go of the button and it's for the most part locked in place. So you can adjust this to your wrist and let go of the button, and if you do drop your flashlight, the whole lanyard's not going to slide off your wrist. Very nice feature. Now this typical lanyard type design, you've got this little piece of nylon that has to be threaded through the holes right here on the tail cap. Now in a lot of situations, now I've run into this on cell phones as well as flashlights, trying to feed this material through this really tall or really skinny hole right here can be frustrating. It's almost like threading a needle. You've got to, pretty much get this wet and kind of twist it and try to slide it in there. And it can be a problem. Now, Olight addressed that problem. they've got this little piece of metal, which you can probably see a little bit. This little piece of metal right there. It's not necessarily sharp, but it's really thin like a needle. And the purpose of that is to help you thread this little hole. You slide that through and then pull it, and boom, you've got your lanyard through there. Now this little piece of metal is 2 pieces. Once you slide this through on the cap, you can remove it. You can just slide it off and discard it, or you can put it back in your packaging and save it in case you ever need it in the future. Very nice little addition to this lanyard. Again, attention to detail. Very, very nice. The other included item is the charging cable. So let's talk about that briefly. This MR2 or M2R Warrior, I can get my terminology correct, uses a magnetic charging cable. Now, if you've watched my previous video where I did a tabletop review of the Mini Valkyrie, that also uses this exact same magnetic charging cable. So this is a USB charging cable that is magnetic, and it connects to the tail cap. The tail cap is magnetic, and boom, it connects like that, and that's how you charge it. The charge time for this flashlight using this USB charging cable is a little over 8 hours. At least that's what it took me, was a little over 8 hours. The instruction manual says 8 hours. The magnetic charging cable is a flat ribbon cable. It has strain reliefs on both parts, on the USB part and the charging part. It is finished in this nice metallic blue with the Olight logo on it, and it's a standard USB. Now, if you were so inclined to use a wall charger, you would need to get a wall charger that accepts this type of USB plug. I have plenty of those for the home as well as for the car that I have for cell phones, and they do work fine for charging your flashlight. I did charge this via my computer, and it took a little over 8 hours. So very nice charging cable. These magnetic charging cables are interchangeable between the different lights. This is the exact same charging cable that came with the Mini Valkyrie. All right, so let's move on and actually talk about the flashlight. Okay, moving on, let's talk about the light and the charger again real briefly. The charger, when you connect this and you plug it in, the charger is going to illuminate red to let you know that it's charging. When it's fully charged, it will turn green, so you know you can remove this from the charger. So I'm sorry I forgot to mention that before about the charger, but that is also important. So the body of this flashlight is made out of a T6061 aircraft grade or military grade aluminum. So you have a high quality material used in the construction of this. You've got, you can see the bezel design here. You've got a nice blue outer bezel. You can see the standard reflector and a single Cree LED in the center. You have 2 ways to turn this light on. You have the magnetic taillight switch, and it's a dual mode switch. You can press it part way and hold it and then let go, so it's a momentary, or you can press it fully until it clicks and it will turn on. So you have 2 modes available via the tail cap switch. Now the side mounted switch right here, which is also nicely surrounded by a little blue bezel, there's an LED in the center. This LED will turn red when the light has, or when the battery is about 10% or less charge time left on it. So when the light turns red, that indicates that it's probably a good idea to put it on the charger. You can also turn the light on by pressing the side button. Now this side button has multiple features to it, and we'll talk about that in a minute. You can see each time I hold the button for a second, it cycles through different modes, or I can just press and hold, and you can watch it cycle. If it cycles through 3 times, the next time it cycles, after it cycles through 3 times, you get the strobe mode, and the high power mode. So this is another way to engage your strobe mode. So we got 1 cycle, 2 cycle, 3 cycle, and now we've got the strobe. So if we turn the light off at this point, we can turn it back on with the side switch, and it goes back to regular high mode. So that's one function of the side button. And the other thing I want to mention about the button is the button functions differently if you press it quickly, if you press it and hold it, you press it for a couple of seconds. So you'll have to learn the mechanics of the button presses. So if you want to permanently change the mode, well, not permanently, but engage the strobe mode, which they refer to the enhanced tactical mode, and have it stay that way, what you would do is press and hold the taillight switch and then press the side button once. So we can go to regular mode or strobe. And then when we let go of the taillight button, you can see now it's in strobe mode. So when we press the taillight button, we're getting strobe. Now, the one thing interesting about this is when you go into strobe mode, I mentioned that this button is a dual mode button. You can go momentary, you can do a click on. In strobe mode, it doesn't work like that. In strobe mode, it's just momentary. So strobe mode changes the function of this button right here. So if we want to switch back, let's press and hold it and press our side button again. And we go back to our mode where we have momentary, and then press it and let go, and we have constant on. Pretty nice feature. You definitely want to sit down with this light and have the user manual in front of you and kind of train yourself on how to use the different buttons. So let's go back to talk about the exterior here. There is some knurling in the center to create a positive gripping surface. You've got some other laser cut lines in here, which could be for heat dissipation. The clip I find to be very convenient, and it's a very good quality clip. It's nice and solid. This type of clip, you can use it in several different ways. We can use it to slide onto something like this, or you can slide something on this way. So this type of a clip provides a lot of functionality, in my opinion. And also the fact that you can remove the clip, like we can pull this off, and we can actually reposition it and put it back here. Now in this position, if you decide to put this in your pocket, for example, look where the clip comes all the way down to the tail cap right there. So this can go deep into your pocket, and you're not going to have 2 inches of it sticking out of your pocket. Same if you're putting this into a MOLLE vest, a pocket on the MOLLE vest, or a backpack pocket. You can drop it all the way deep into the pocket and not have a bunch of it sticking out. The other thing with these clips, which I find real convenient, is that let's just say, for example, you're in a pinch. I'll just use my hat right here, and I need to get some light on a surface, and I need both my hands free. I have at times stuck this on the bill of my hat, so I have both my hands free, but I still have the light available. So this type of dual functionality for the clip I find very handy. So I definitely like that very much. So let's take a look at our end cap and our battery, because that's the first thing you're really going to do when you get this flashlight. You got to take the end cap off and remove that little plastic piece of material. So you'll see the way the battery is orientated. You've got the positive tip towards the tail cap. That's a little different from some flashlights you might be familiar with, but keep that in mind. This is a Olight branded 18650 lithium ion battery. It is a 3.6 volt. It is 3500 milliamps. This is a this is a protected battery. It has a circuit board in there to prevent overcharging. Olight recommends you only use that type of battery. If you're going to buy additional batteries, make sure they fall within the acceptable parameters that Olight specifies as being compatible with this flashlight. You probably should not use unprotected 18650 batteries in this flashlight. Also on the inside, right here, probably can't see it, but there is a little icon right there that tells you that the positive end goes facing outwards. So again, more attention to detail, very nice. The end cap obviously has got some electronic circuit board material in there because it is an electronic controlled tail cap, and it also provides the charging current for the battery. The spring is a heavy duty spring. You can see that in there. Probably would hold up well to 556 300 blackout if you were so inclined to use this as a firearm light. But you know, in reality, you've got a lot of other choices to use for firearm lights. You know, probably would not be buying this to be used as a firearm light. But it just goes to show you that the tail cap, the spring assembly, everything fits, nothing jiggles around. Nothing worse than a flashlight where the spring doesn't hold the battery in place and you can hear the battery move around, and as you're using the light and you move it, it stops working and you got to shake it or hit it. I hate that. You don't get that with Olight products. You get 100% reliability right out of the box with the Olight. The Olight also has some icons right here that talks about how to activate the taillight switch. So very nice. Just like all of the other Olight products that I've seen so far. So let me move on here and take a look at the user manual again. So going back to our brightness levels, we can utilize the side mount switch. We can press it once to turn it on, and you can see we get a really low output mode right here. Now, my understanding, according to the instruction manual, it cycles through low, medium 2, medium 1, and high mode. And what we have engaged right at the moment here, wanted to make sure I get this correct, is the moonlight mode. So with the flashlight off, we press and hold the side switch for 1 second to access moonlight mode. If moonlight mode is memorized, every time you press the switch, it will go into moonlight mode. So that's basically what we have right there. This is the 1 lumen output mode. If we press and hold the switch, we cycle through these higher modes. And when we let go, we have a high mode right there. We turn that off and we turn it back on. It remembers the high mode. The tail light switch kicks into the turbo mode. So I don't know if you saw that, but let's try that again. This is the high mode, and I'll press in the tail light switch. You can see the illumination change. And when we let go of the taillight switch, I was doing a momentary press of the taillight switch. When we let go of the taillight switch, it shuts it off. Even though we turned it on with the side switch, press the rear switch momentarily, let go, it turns the light off. So that is how you access the moonlight mode, and that's how you cycle through the brightness levels. Now, direct access to the turbo mode we double click quickly the side button, double click it again to go to the super turbo mode, which would be the 1500 lumen mode. So we turn it on. That's the moonlight mode. Turn it off, double click, turbo mode, double click, super turbo mode. I'm calling it super turbo mode, but they don't call it that. That would be the 1500 lumen mode. In this 1500 lumen mode, it will run for approximately 3 minutes. The thermal protection circuitry will kick in roughly at that time, give or take the temperature is, and drop the output level to 700 lumens. Now this has only been on for a few seconds and it's already starting to heat up. So so there are basically the mode functions of the buttons and how you toggle through them. Now let's talk about some of the specs a little bit here. I've got 3 pages of notes. I'm not going to talk about all of them, but let's talk about some of the details about this flashlight. They list this being compatible with all 18650 batteries with a discharge current over 6 amps and protection circuitry. That's what you should keep in mind if you're going to buy additional batteries that are not Olight batteries. This light is available in cool white, that's what you've been looking at here, and neutral white. Neutral white is more of a yellowish white. The cool white is listed as 5500 Kelvin to 7000 Kelvin. The neutral white is listed as 4000 Kelvin to 5000 Kelvin. The beam distance in feet, 682. Beam distance, or max performance lumens, is 1500. The compatible batteries, like mentioned, is a single 18650 or 2 CR123A batteries. So if you're going to use CR123A batteries and if you want the recharging base to function correctly, you would need to have rechargeable CR123A batteries. If you put non-rechargeable batteries in the flashlight, you can't recharge those, obviously, so keep that in mind. The candela of the light is listed as 10,880. The reflector type is a smooth reflector. The smooth reflector gives us, let's see if we can see this here. You can see we have a hot spot in the center, and then you have a flood area off to the hot spot. That's pretty typical for a lot of flashlights. The Olights are no different. All the Olights I've tested operate in that same fashion. Now there are some lights that have different type of reflector designs that give you a wide flood beam with no hot spot. But for most tactical lights and weapon lights, you're going to end up with one bright hot spot that has a specific dispersion pattern. Then you're going to have flood off to the side. So that's pretty common. The light output on this is very controlled. It's very bright. It lights up the street. Obviously, I can't show that because I'm indoors on my work area and my workbench. Let's see. We talked about the knurling on the light. And we talked about the run times, and it does have strobe. Like mentioned, it is IPX8 waterproof. The weight is, well, this information says the weight is 5.26 ounces. I believe the box said, what, 5.27 ounces for the weight? We got a small discrepancy in the weight with the battery, I think. Actually, the box says 5.47 for the weight with the battery, and the weight on off the website says 5.26. So then 5.26 is probably without the battery. The length of the light is 5.12 inches. The head diameter is 1 inch. The body diameter is 0.96 inches. If you were so inclined to use this as a weapon light, you'd want to make sure that your weapon light mount would be appropriate for a body diameter of 0.96. The Cree LED, like I mentioned, is specifically an XHP35 HD Cree LED. And that's pretty much it for my talking points on this particular flashlight. So in conclusion, again, another high quality light from Olight, brand new on the market. There's just really not much to dislike about this light. It's got everything that I normally look for in a light. I do wish it actually shipped with the charging base as well as the regular cable, because I like to have multiple charging cables. A lot of times I'll keep a charging cable with an adapter in my car, and then I'll have one on my charging base at home. Or, you know, if I'm carrying this in a bug out bag, I'll have a charging cable in my bug out bag with like a wall charger or a solar power charger, something of that nature. So I definitely need multiple cables when I have lights like this. So the charging base is an extra $10, but I guess that's about the only thing I could say is I wish it actually came with the charging base as well. I think the price is reasonable for the quality that you're getting here. The functionality, the included accessories, the quality, craftsmanship, and the material, it makes it well worth the money. So that is the Olight M2R Warrior flashlight. If this particular one doesn't fit your needs, definitely check out Olight's website. They've got so many different types of rechargeable, non-rechargeable lights and weapon lights. You know, one of the other reviews I did was their mother of all flashlights, their gigantic flashlight, just incredible quality out of their lights. I just can't say that enough. So that's going to more or less wrap up this tabletop review of the Olight M2R Warrior flashlight.